Hi, it's Louisa Dahl. And welcome to the Interactive Minds podcast, where I talk with passionate marketers, innovators, and digital leaders about their specific recipes for success. In today's show, I interview B2B marketer Brittney Kenward, talking about her proactive approach to her career and the success that Grant Thornton has seen from webinars. Here's 3 things you're going to learn. 1, a proactive approach that students can use to start their career. 2, some great webinar insights around the content, length, and process that works. And 3, how to get LinkedIn ads working for you. Let's get into it. Today I'm here with Brittney Kenward, who is the National Digital Marketing Manager at Grant Thornton. Brittney has been working as a marketer for the last 8 years, and I'm excited to discuss her journey to date and hear about some recent work. Welcome to the show, Brittney.
Thanks so much, Louisa. Great to be here speaking with you.
Excellent. Now, I'm keen to hear how you got started in the marketing industry, Brittney. Can you tell us what that involved for you?
Yeah, definitely. I went straight to university from high school, which I think back when I was in grade 12, it felt like probably one of the only options for me. But when I started out in university, I was a little bit unconventional. And in my first year, I went out and applied for internships. I definitely got pushed back a bit. And one actually stuck. And I started out at Made for Media. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. And did an internship for a year. And I was so grateful. But that's where it all began.
Wow, that's a really interesting path, especially in your first year. You mentioned you got a little bit of pushback. Were you applying for kind of advertised roles at this time, or how did you go about it?
No, I actually just had a look at agencies around Brisbane. I didn't go through particular job-seeking paths. I don't think there was anything that I could necessarily apply for.
Yep.
It was definitely just trying to stick my neck out and see what I could get.
Awesome. And I love that. That's such a proactive approach. And I think you would have been way ahead of all your peers getting that experience at that beginning stage. So what kind of work were you doing then, and how many hours a week were you working?
I started out doing 1 day a week.
Yep.
We were working on a range of industries, which was pretty fun. But I think maybe 6 months in, the agency, maybe a year in, they landed a contract with Roadshow Films. So this was an absolute highlight, especially being so young and opening my eyes to the entertainment industry and PR, media assisting, stuff like that. The other industries we worked with were resources. So we worked with Santos as well, and then some smaller businesses around Brisbane too.
Yeah, great. And I'm sure it made what you were learning at university a lot more grounded and real for you, being able to get some exposure to, actual clients and real marketing work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I look back now and I was so appreciative because I'm sure many people can relate going through university. It's so theory heavy and you've just got no idea, I guess, until you put everything into practice. So it definitely made uni a lot more worthwhile.
Yeah. And how do you think it benefited you then from your career perspective, getting this experience in that first year?
I honestly think it was the best thing I could have done. I remember in my third year talking to people, and one of the subjects actually meant that you had to go out and get an internship. And I'd obviously gone out and done that myself, so it was a lot easier, but it definitely gave me that front foot when I was applying for jobs. I had experience. I kind of knew what I wanted to do after university. And then I was able just to build on that and get to where I am now.
Yeah, definitely. And I assume this was an unpaid internship to start off with?
Yeah, it was. So it was unpaid for 1 day a week, and then it turned into 2 days. And then it turned into a part-time paid job.
Fantastic. What a great start. I really admire that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So what happened after that? Where did you go? I suppose by the time you finished uni, you'd been there a couple of years. What happened next?
Yeah, so I went into another agency called Liquidity Marketing, and this is a full-service agency that looked after mostly hospitality. Then they've branched out a bit since, and they're still growing, but it was here I became an account manager. I was looking after 20 plus different clients around Brisbane, going to lots of client meetings, doing absolutely everything possible in terms of agency work anyway, working crazy hours. I'm sure many people can relate to that being in agencies.
Yes.
But it was a very exciting job.
Yeah, fantastic. And then was it Grant Thornton after that?
No, so I went to, it's called Canal Insulation. It was a manufacturing company. This was an in-house job that I went for. And it was here where I really turned into digital marketing. I kind of steered my job into that direction. I had a few opportunities to take a couple things in-house. So we were outsourcing some SEO and some website stuff. And I was definitely getting a bit more interested in that. So I managed to take that on board in my job and change my role.
Awesome. Fantastic. And how did you find, I mean, you obviously enjoyed the move to in-house versus agency side at that point.
Yeah, I did. I was very nervous going in-house. Obviously, I think it was a very big change, and I loved agency work so much. So obviously it was a big risk, but I don't want to say I haven't looked back, but I do think about agency life. But moving into Grant Thornton after that has been an amazing career move for me as well, going into professional services. I remember in university studying PR and thinking I really wanted to get into the corporate world.
Yep. Oh, it's nice that you can get exposure in that way. What do you miss most about the agency side of things?
I think it was just the sheer amount of the variety of work. There was honestly everything possible in one day. You would speak to so many people, you would meet so many people. I was quite young at the time, so we had lots of events going out. Good social life. Just mingling with a lot of people, having a pretty good social life.
Yeah. And it does give you exposure to so many different brands and clients and different types of work as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I did meet some amazing people, lots of business owners too, and they were all very motivating too. They've just gone out and made their dreams come true.
Yeah, nice. Have you stayed in touch with any of your past colleagues or contacts?
Yeah, I have. So Amelia, who is the owner and director at Liquidity, she's still one of my best friends today. So it's really nice to have these people still in your life. And there's lots of other people that I've met, mostly at agencies as well, that we catch up quite regularly.
Yeah, fantastic. It's important to have that network and be able to draw on it when you need to.
Yeah.
Great. Now tell me a little bit about your role at Grant Thornton. What does that involve?
Sure. So Grant Thornton is a top-tier accounting firm. I'm currently a digital marketing manager here, and I've been here for 3 years. Most recently, we've been focusing on automation and strategy. I'm sure you're familiar with the system Marketo.
Yes.
Yeah, so we implemented that about 3 years ago, and then we got Salesforce just a year ago, and it's just been a massive learning curve integrating these systems and working through them. But it's also been such an amazing learning opportunity. In my role, the pillars I usually describe are email marketing, website, and social.
Yep, great. And how big is the team?
The team, so we actually have 3 people in the digital marketing team, which is a little bit scary. I think I tell people that and they look at me in a bit of terror. But our marketing team is made up of 24. So that's both marketers and business development managers as well. Okay.
And you obviously work very closely in the sales cycle then in terms of working hand in hand to get outcomes.
Yeah, we absolutely do. We've actually just recently implemented lead lifecycle. And I've just been on the project team just last week, turning everything on in the system. And I listened to your recent podcast with James Gunn, and he's a few steps in front of us, but everything he was saying, it's very exciting to see that other companies have done it and how they're doing it, and then how we're doing it as well.
Yeah, great. Definitely. Look, I love sharing that. That's part of the reason for this podcast. And I think it's always really reassuring to both learn from others and understand that they've gone through similar challenges as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to that stuff too.
Yeah, definitely. So what stage are you at in that process now?
We have just done lead lifecycle, but we're now working with the BDs to educate them and then to roll it out into the business.
Mm-hmm.
We've just turned on scoring as well, and we're going to go live or publish that to the business in February next year. There's just a few change management situations that we have to go through as well.
Yeah.
But we are now seeing the whole picture. We've got the sales cycle, we've got the opportunity cycle, lead life cycle. All of that is now integrated, and we're finally getting a wholesome view. And then I think the next stage for us will be doing that acquisition model and looking how we can start generating some leads to nurture.
How do you think this will change how you've been marketing to date?
Well, I think one of the biggest and most amazing things that we're able to do is start proving ROI. I think obviously it's a massive challenge for marketers in any business to constantly prove their worth as such, but with all the opportunity data and all the lead data that we're starting to get, it's definitely building up some pretty amazing business cases and just showing what we're able to do for the business, for the partners, and just helping them obviously win work or nurture work, cross-sell, everything like that.
Yeah, great. It's an exciting time to be part of this type of project and be at the coal front to implement those changes and see the results too.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So what does a typical day look like for you, Brittney?
A typical day, I like to get into work quite early, usually before everyone else. I find the office is a really nice place in the morning. I mean, I do love people. It sounds like I don't, but in the morning, the sun's coming up between all the buildings, and I just get in. I like to read my marketing emails. I'm an absolute sucker for marketing. I think that's why I'm in it. But I go through all my alerts, find out what's happening in the world, and then write out my list for the day and get going. And then by 8:30, I'm ready for my second coffee.
Which resources do you read in the morning in those emails? What are the ones that you turn to as your favourites?
I love Marketing Land. I think that's a great email, and that comes through overnight, so that'll be ready in my inbox in the morning. And then TechCrunch is another great one that keeps me up to date with what's going on in the tech world.
Fantastic. And when you look at the rest of your day, is it typically filled up with meetings, or do you have some good kind of work time in there? What does the rest of your day's calendar look like typically?
It's pretty sporadic, but even just this last week, I've had a whole bunch of meetings, but our team is definitely quite a resource for everyone else in the team. We're definitely the go-to people with systems, with their campaigns. I like to say I get lots done in the day, but I'm usually on the phone talking with the team, which I love. I love teaching and helping people learn about Marketo specifically, but Salesforce as well. We're doing a lot of webinars at the moment, so the next stage will be doing some training for the team on that. But other than that, I try and work off a list when I can get to it and work through the priority stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. Well. Awesome. Now we're keen to talk a little bit more about webinars today, which you just mentioned. Tell us how you guys are using webinars and what they've been doing for the business.
Yeah, absolutely. We've really been ramping up in this space, and it's provided some fun opportunities for some testing on social media and some paid channels. Our audit team runs a monthly technical webinar, and this content's quite useful for our audience, which we're finding. It's very exciting. We have been testing the webinar recording behind LinkedIn lead gen forms. Is this something that you've used before?
No, I haven't. Tell us more.
It's pretty cool. We don't have a massive budget for paid social, despite what people may think from being in a top-tier firm. But the success of these smaller campaigns, and even with a small spend, we're seeing some pretty awesome results and definitely getting some great leads into the system. We've put out a technical webinar. We've put out two actually behind a form, and it's pretty exciting to see that people are actually this content's quite sought after for different people in all types of businesses. But the technical webinars work really well. But opposing this, we also tried it for an industry webinar and didn't see quite the same results.
Okay.
But I think if you're trying to do something like this, definitely try and do something that's quite niche, quite technical, and what people are really looking to get some purpose from, rather than going for a broader topic.
Okay, can you explain to us or give us an example of the difference between a technical webinar and an industry webinar?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want people's eyes glazing over when I start talking about accounting, but our audit team often provides some tools about quarterly reporting, different regulations that are coming out, and just things that both business owners and other accountants need to do and need to keep up to date with.
Yep.
Opposite to that is more an industry webinar, so a broad view or overview of what's happening in the financial services industry as such. That's not so much a technical webinar, it's more just an informational webinar versus something that you can learn something from or take something back and implement it into your business.
Yeah, right. So the practical ones have been getting a much better response rate and registration rate in the first place?
We've used LinkedIn lead gen forms for the technical stuff, and we put the recording behind the form, but we've also tested for the industry webinar using this tool to get registrations prior to the actual live webinar. Mm-hmm. And we did find that the recording behind the form, and I think the logistics of the LinkedIn forms and how they work as well, it was much better to offer something for people to download versus trying to get people to register for an event or a webinar.
Oh, that's really interesting. So the webinars that have worked best for you have been pre-recorded and are available kind of on demand?
Yeah, absolutely. The way LinkedIn lead gen forms work, so when you fill out the form, you have to then click through to a thank you page or to where the recording might be. And then that's what triggers the conversion versus trying to get people to register and then click through to maybe save the date or do something that's not necessarily what they have to do to get it or to register. It's quite a behavioural thing.
Okay, and have you been promoting these primarily on LinkedIn and also to your existing database or in other ways as well?
Yeah, we put these out on social as well. We put it up on the website behind a form. We've been putting both the recordings out as well as their registration pages for people to go to the webinar too.
Excellent. And has it run fairly smoothly when you've had them up, or have there been any kind of challenges or road bumps along the way?
There's always some speed bumps, but these after a few you get a little bit better at them and you can see what you're testing. We tried a few different banners and again saw some surprising results. We've just done some new branding for our social banners across social, and we've added a really clear call to action button on the images that we put on social, and this is definitely more successful than putting, say, just a photo up with some text.
Great, excellent. And how often are you doing these recordings now? Is this something that, given their uptake, has been put into the plan on an ongoing basis?
Yeah, it has actually. So the audit ones are picking up a fair bit. We've actually expanded or increased our webinar limits due to the success of these, which is pretty cool to see. But we've turned it into a series that we're running monthly and trying to keep them short and sharp. We're getting some pretty good practices from it, trying to set in very clear processes for the team to easily roll them out. And it's definitely getting people excited and wanting to run some more webinars. So we're quite busy at the moment.
Fantastic. Great. And have you found that there's an ideal length of webinars that people are responding to?
From a bit of research and from watching other webinars and seeing our insights as well, you do see people kind of drop off at that 40-minute mark. We do run them during lunchtimes as well. So it kind of, you can sit and listen to them during your lunch break, but I think the hour-long ones, they start to drag on a bit and people kind of drop off.
Yeah.
So my tip would definitely be to keep them short, sharp and to the point and try and focus on one or two topics rather than trying to cover a whole range of different things.
Yeah. And are the videos actually sitting on your site or are they sitting on LinkedIn?
They are sitting on the website and in Marketo.
Yeah. Excellent. So you're getting some good tracking and understanding what people are doing there?
Yeah, we are. We use GoToWebinar for our webinars as well, and that gives out some pretty good reports too. But because that's integrated with Marketo, we can definitely see some really awesome data.
Fantastic. What are the key kind of stats that you're looking at when you're reviewing these webinars?
We're seeing, in line with our LinkedIn lead gen stuff, we're actually seeing quite a few new leads in the system. So a lot of people are obviously sharing this with their team, sharing it throughout their business. And we do see that as a bit of a success metric for this. But we're also looking at the viewing rate versus who's downloading it. And I think this is something to remember too when you're doing webinars. It's not necessarily you should be looking at the registration numbers. You should look at the whole picture, because I know myself, I'll sign up to a lot of webinars, but I prefer watching the recording when I have some time available.
Yep, definitely.
But I think that's it's pretty interesting to look at who's coming or which ones that people come to.
Yeah.
Prefer to watch later.
Yes, exactly. No, we see the same thing actually with a lot of our training videos that we offer as well. We get some people on live, but a lot of people do prefer to pick their own timings around when they access that content.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of webinars, hey?
Yeah, definitely. And if there's someone else out there who wants to get into this tactic and leverage it, do you have any recommendations for them?
Yeah, I would say just do it. Try and figure out the system that works best for you. And if something integrates, I guess, with your CRM, even better. Find your audience on social. Definitely keep it specific as well with your content. And another great tip is practice, and I would record your practice webinars as well, just as backup.
So with your webinars, are they a mix of face-to-camera plus slides, or what kind of content are within them?
We do both. For the audit ones, we're doing slides with a voiceover. We've done a couple for our not-for-profit industry, and we did a panel-like webinar, and that was a bit more interactive. So if you're looking for something that's a bit more interactive, I would definitely recommend doing the panel, because people, I think, feel that they can ask questions a bit more freely versus something like a technical webinar. People are kind of sitting on the computer or wanting to run through it whilst watching.
Yes.
Then slides with a voiceover as well. But another tip would be to run some polling questions and try and keep your audience engaged every 10 minutes or so as well.
Okay, awesome tip. Did you find that you had to get much buy-in from the other parts of the organisation in order to go ahead with this project?
Not necessarily. I think because people are seeing the results from webinars, it's kind of spoken for itself. Initially, I think because people weren't so aware of webinars, they didn't really come to the marketing team and say, hey, I want to do a webinar. But now that we've run a few and it's quite popular amongst the firm, we've got buy-in from everyone, and our CEO actually runs monthly webinars himself for the whole firm too.
Fantastic. Nice. Practicing what you preach, hey? It's a great idea.
Yeah.
How many webinars are you turning out at this time?
We're probably doing about 2 to 3 a month because the whole invitation process, we try and give people at least 3 weeks, and then we have to do a couple of reminder sends, and then we want to do the follow-up. And then, of course, we want to put the recording on social, on the website. We might run a social campaign. So there's a bit of work behind just one webinar.
Yeah, definitely.
But now I guess that we're getting a bit more process-minded behind things. We might be able to do a couple more or test a few different industries out and see what other successes we might be able to achieve with them.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to some of my team about this earlier, and running a webinar is very similar to running an event, really. I mean, as you say, you've got the notification emails giving people plenty of warning to, put it in their calendar or be aware that it's coming up, and then the follow-up as well. What are you doing in terms of nurturing people who have been to a webinar or attended or watched a webinar versus people who might already be in your database or CRM? Are you treating them any differently?
At this stage, I would like to say we are. But with all the lead lifecycle stuff that we're doing, we definitely will be looking at how we can nurture them a bit differently. We are obviously re-inviting our audience and seeing which people were more engaged or who have gone to maybe 2 or 3 and separating them out. But then we're also giving some guidance to the partners and the directors who are running these and showing them what type of people are coming to these campaigns and just making sure that their next webinars are talking to these people specifically and just keeping them in mind.
Yeah, great. In terms of your results, have you noticed any kind of particular patterns around registration versus people who are actually engaging with the content, either by attending in person or watching the replay? Have you got any kind of rules of thumb as to what you can expect from that perspective?
Yes and no. I think the numbers do vary a bit. For example, we might get 400 registrations and then maybe 320 people will rock up. And for us, that's quite a high attendance rate.
Yeah, that's huge.
Say the one before, one before that was a little bit different. We had higher registration number, but we actually had less people attend. And there was more people signing up for the recording. So we're still trying to figure out a few of the trends, I guess, and seeing what topics are maybe causing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite interesting to see. There's no real trend line at the moment.
Yeah, that's a hard one, isn't it? Because sometimes, I mean, there's so many factors as to why they might not turn up in real time to narrow that down. And I guess you need a little bit of data under your belt to be able to try and make some assumptions around that.
Yeah, and I think we might need to test different days as well. We typically do maybe a Wednesday or a Thursday lunchtime, but it might we could try on a Friday. I know everyone thinks Fridays are a no-go zone, but I know myself on a Friday I actually like to sit and take some things in rather than try and push everything over the line.
Yeah, those Friday afternoons, surely there's a bit of time in there that people can put to good use.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of your industry webinars, is that something that you're going to do less of now that they're kind of not getting those same results, or are you looking to adapt those in different ways?
I think we might look to adapt them in different ways. I think we might have just approached the one that we've recently done, probably not in the best manner, but we've done we did a report recently and we have 13 industries and we tested a send for each one. And we tested that across LinkedIn. And it was very interesting to see what industries performed better. And we kind of gauged what people are on LinkedIn as such. So obviously your financial services and your professional services have a bit more engagement on those posts because they're generally people who are on their computer working hard at the desk rather than, say, agribusiness or farming or something like that. They're not typically going to be on LinkedIn looking for a report.
Definitely. So it all comes back to your target market, I suppose.
Yeah, it does. So I think we might just have to look at what industries we do want to put money behind before we actually go and just start testing anything.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I suppose as expected that as a B2B organisation, you're leveraging LinkedIn quite significantly as part of your marketing and communications. In what other ways are you using this platform?
I love LinkedIn. We are using this a lot as a tool for our partners, our directors, all of our employees. And we do a lot of training with them to try and get them to advocate their own brand, their personal brand, but also just to make sure that they're putting out their expertise and leveraging the platform for obviously what it is. It's such a powerful, powerful tool. We've been using LinkedIn Sales Navigator as well, which is also an amazing tool.
Yeah.
And definitely one I would recommend people test out.
Yeah, definitely. It gives you a lot more breadth to your searches and what you're finding on there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you doing much other advertising on LinkedIn aside from the webinars?
We have. We don't do regular ads as such. It depends on the campaigns that we're running. We definitely do advertising on a campaign basis. We have tried different reports in the past, and we've done some recruitment advertising as well. Yeah.
Would you say that results on that platform are as good as you'd hope? Or I know that, experience in the past has been that perhaps the ads aren't maybe as, effective as everyone wants them to be?
Yeah, absolutely. LinkedIn's quite expensive, especially because we're targeting that C-suite market. Yes. The cost is quite high. And I think you've got to be able to include at least $100 for your testing and have to kind of expect that to maybe blow out into the wind before you start getting some results, unfortunately.
Yeah, right. That's interesting. And do you find that there's any kind of things that work better than others in this space?
I think you just have to test. I think imagery is obviously a big one and what type of media you're putting out there. And you can test this organically as well. But before you go making your ads, because it is quite expensive, I would definitely recommend doing something like that. I've been testing 3 different versions of a banner and found that certain posts work better with certain imagery as well. And that's definitely one thing you should try and nut out before you put it into the paid platform.
Yeah, definitely. Excellent. Now, I always like to ask the people I'm interviewing here around some of the ways in which they work, because I think this is something that everyone approaches really differently. And I guess in particular, I'm talking about time management, calendar, emails, meetings and things like that. What's your approach to how you manage, say, your email and calendar and use these to manage your tasks and your workload?
So I am a big advocate for lists. You will definitely see me writing lists probably most minutes of the day. I do this both in digitally and also in my book. I love writing out a list as well. It just makes me feel a bit more organised.
Definitely. I'm in the same camp.
Sorry, say that again.
I'm in the same camp.
Yeah, I love lists so much, and I will absolutely preach that. But no, we use Asana, which is a project management tool. We've rolled this out into the team, and I absolutely love this software. There's a fair few out there in the market, but it's easy to use. It has so much functionality and reporting capabilities, but it gives the team so much transparency, both to keep everyone informed, but also just to manage workloads as well. My calendar is always up to date. I put absolutely everything in here. My phone is often telling me what I need to do, where I should be. It has little notifications that pop up and say, pack your bags for gym tomorrow. And if it wasn't synced with my Outlook, I probably wouldn't be so organised. And in terms of my emails and stuff like that, so this coming off my comment about lists, my Outlook is not quite on par, and it will probably give some people some anxiety. I'm not the type of person to try and empty my inbox every single day. I don't tick everything off and file it methodically, but I do like to keep emails unread if they haven't been actioned, and I kind of work my way through them and keep them prioritised.
So how many emails in your inbox right now?
500 plus.
Nice. That's impressive.
It's funny though. Yeah, I know. People would honestly just look at it and be like, what are you doing? And it's quite funny. I kind of found this out going into professional services, but it seems to be a practice that everyone does. They will never have emails in their inbox, and I just find that terrifying as well.
Yeah.
There's no happy balance for me.
Each their own, hey. Whatever works, I think, is the way to do it. But it is something that we don't often talk about. So it's good to see and interesting to explore how people manage these areas in different ways.
Yeah, I'm probably going to regret saying that.
All good. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show today, Brittney. It's been really great to hear so much detail around the webinars that you run and some awesome tips that you've shared along the way. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Now, if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to find you?
Jump on LinkedIn. Just send me a message. I'm always open for a chat.
Excellent. Well, thanks again for joining us on the Interactive Minds podcast. It's been great to have you here.
Thanks so much, Louisa.
Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, please subscribe so that next week's episode will go straight into your playlist. A recommended action item from today's show is to look at how your business can use LinkedIn and its tools to connect with customers, partners, or the industry. Come and check out the free Interactive Minds Facebook group and be supported by hundreds of marketers. Just search for Interactive Minds in Facebook. You can access today's show notes at interactiveminds.com/podcast. See you next week.